Hey, it's MTGOpener, and I brought a new deck tag for you. I'll begin with one thing. This deck was not designed by me. I took the idea from the website called MTG Goldfish. It's an amazing website. If you don't know about it, there is a link in the description to the original article with the original deck list, and there are also gameplay videos which you can watch. This deck, I decided to show it to you because I just like it so much. It is not top. It is not tier 1 deck. It is not a tier 1 deck at all. It is not even. It's a tier clearly it's a tier 2 deck. It's not a budget deck, but it's supposed to be budget and it's built as budget. But there are basically two expensive cards, and the rest is bulk. The rest is commons and uncommons, which you can get for 50 cents. So yeah, my deck list is a tiny bit different from the original one, so still I didn't copy the whole thing. I played with this deck on FNM a couple of times. My scores were, I can say, awful. It was 1-3, 1-3, and that's it, I think. But the biggest problem with this deck is variance. Seriously, you can get amazing draws and you can win without a problem. And there was a case when I was basically playing against Mono-Red deck, and I lost 0-2, and then I was like, hey dude, do you want to play a couple of more games? Because I just want to try my deck against Mono-Red. I want to try my sideboard again. If it works, if it's not, I mean, I had it after game 1 already, but I didn't draw any sideboard cards. And he was like, okay, sure, why not? And then I went to 0. It's not that he had a mana screw or something. He was absolutely fine. He was having a normal hand. He was having normal draws. I just went to 0 without any problem because I didn't have a mana screw. This deck slightly suffers from a problem which Heroic has, which Boggles has in Modern. And you will understand later why. This deck is called Green-White Prowess, and I will begin with the mana base. There are 22 lands in this deck. 4 of them are fetch lands in color. 1 of them is off color just because I like playing fetch lands, and it's still a good card. It feeds your grave because you need delve, and late game it filters your deck, so it takes planes out of your deck so that the probability of drawing it is less. I have 4 Temples of Plenty because having a cool top deck is quite important. Well, it's cool. It's important in any deck, but still in this deck it's even more important. And then I have 2 forests, and I have, I think, 11 plains. So it's total of as I said, 22 lands. The mana base is fine. I don't need more because all spells are quite cheap. The deck is basically holding on these guys. There are 14 of them, and only 10 of them are creatures. So I have 4 Seekers of the Way. It's one of the best uncommons in Standard now. It's one of the best white card in Standard now. For those who don't know, okay, it's 2/2 for 2, which has Prowess, and whenever you activate Prowess, he also gets lifelink, which is simply amazing. With this guy, you're able to gain like 10 life in a turn, and you will understand why a bit later. But I'm just saying that he's amazing. He's one of the most dangerous cards for your opponent, because this dude is able to put your way further than your opponent in terms of life total, and give you a huge advantage and more time to win. Then I have 4 Monastery Mentors. I'm sorry for the proxy. The 3rd Russian one hasn't arrived yet. So that's it. The 4 one is from the pack, and I don't want to sell them. This guy is one of my probably the most favorite creature from the Khans block, even in Standard. Of all time, I'm not afraid to say that, because it's just a dude which gives you insane board presence when you use him in the right deck. It's a vintage staple. It's so funny to me because vintage is supposed to use the strongest cards, and this card is not. And this card is not played in standard right now at all, because there are not so many cheap spells. But that's why I play them in this deck, because this deck has a lot of them, and you can fully exploit him and get a huge advantage out of playing him. So he's the main dude here. If you're able to put him on the board and protect him for long enough, you're winning. Now, there are two Ojutai Exemplars, two because it's a 4 mana card, like this is Ojutai Exemplars as well, sorry for the proxy again. It's a huge beater. Late game, when you're able to protect him, basically any card which is not a creature, even materialized, triggers him. Whenever you trigger him, it says either you just tap a creature. Okay, it sounds bad, but what if your opponent has 2 blockers, then you have 2 attackers, and then you're able to tap one of them, and then he has 1 blocker, and then you can give protection to one of your creatures, he has no blockers, and then you attack for the win. And give him lifelink and first strike and stuff like that. I mean, the third mode is just insane. Somebody targets him, you can protect another creature, and protect himself by blinking him. It's insane. I mean, if you have the right draws, this deck is able to do amazing things. This card was hyped before the release, and now it's a $2 bulk. But I hate saying bulk because I absolutely love this card. I'm not afraid to say that. It's one of the most interesting and underestimated cards in Standard. Because in the right deck, if they print enough cheap spells or Origins in Zendikar, Battle for Zendikar, I'm sorry, this deck will shine. Because, I mean, 60% of this deck is able to work post-rotation, and what rotates out, these things will come in as a commons and new sets, probably. Turn 1 Mithralized gives you plus 30% to the probability of winning you the game. Simply because basically every spell you play after that gives him a counter, and he just becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, and then it becomes so insane because 7/7, which cannot be removed by normal removal, it's just crazy, which also grows. So here's my package of cheap spells. I have for Defiant Strike, simply because it's a cantrip, it's for 1 mana. Turn 2, you can just, at end of turn, target your opponent's creature, draw a card, put a counter on your Mithralized. It's cool one nonetheless. It's cool with lifelink, it's cool with first strike, with the second mode of Ojutai Exemplars. It's fine. Godwilling doesn't need comments because it's one of the best cards for this kind of deck. Is its protection, scry, and instant speed. It's amazing. Ajani's presence, just that +1/+1 thing is really cool. And indestructible for 1 mana is cool as well, and the strive just makes this card a lot better. It's a very cool common. Ephemeral Shields is insane common, because in this deck you can most of the time cast it for free late game, especially with these tokens, and it's really cool because your opponent usually will waste a removal spell if you're tapped out and in your hand you have Ephemeral Shields, because they will assume that if you're tapped out you cannot protect your creatures. Well, it's a mistake, because I can protect my creatures, and that's how. Artful Maneuver, I unfortunately have 2 of them, and it's an insane card. 5/5 lifelink, Secret of the Way on turn 2 is insane. Rebound is insane as well. It gives you 2 counters on Mithralized, it gives you 2 triggers from Exemplars, it gives you 2 monks. A Pressure Point, it seems funny, it's like a draft common, but actually it's amazing on turn 2 if you have Mithralized, because you just simply say that your opponent's creature will not attack, will not block, you draw a card and you put a counter. It's even cool late game, especially if you want to attack and your opponent has 1 big dangerous blocker, which you can just tap, draw a card, and attack for the win. Dromoka's command is insane. Usually you use +1/+1 counter and fight target creature, because I mean this card itself will give Prowess, so it's usually +2/+2 and fight target creature for 2 mana. It's amazing. Against all these annoying raptors and indestructible, against all these raptors and like Thassa and stuff like that, you can use Devouring Light. It's a very cool removal, especially with Convoke, because you usually have tokens, and it's not 3 mana, like usually it's much cheaper. Become a Man, that's what I was talking about. It's +6/+6 usually for 1 green, because they have flashlights, you have a lot of instants, so your grave fills pretty quickly. And I mean, give it to Secret of the Way, it's a 9/9 lifelink. If you attack with him once, it's really hard to recover after that, because +9 life is so much. And I know that's just by playing this deck. The sideboard has 2 Mortals Ardor for the lifelink against aggro decks, 1 Dromoka's Command against burn, against enchantment heavy decks. When display dominance, it's another protection spell against blue-black control. That's against all the dragon decks, because there are just too many of them. Against mono-red deck, it's amazing. This, why do I put Silkwrap instead of what was the other one? Suspension Field, because Silkwrap can get rid of Warden of the first tree, late game, even early game, Fleece mainline and stuff like that. For other things, I have Valorous Stance, Banishing Light, and 1 more Devouring Light against Raptors, because Raptors are freaking insane and they're everywhere. I mean, Wizards seriously printing these 2 cards, then protecting Raptor in 1 block, in 1 set is just insane. The value is obvious, and you just overwhelm your opponent with Raptors everywhere. So unless you exile him, you'll probably lose the game. That's sad. I don't want that. So the reason why I play this deck is just because I love playing this deck. As I said, Monastery Mentor is one of my favorite cards currently, and this deck is not tier 1. Not at all. This deck is not tier 1.5. This is a very fun deck. It's not so expensive to build. The most expensive card is obviously Monastery Mentor and Dromoka's Command. The rest is pretty much under $3. Most of these cards are, I mean, they're commons, they're bulk, for like 50 cents, 5 cents, whatever. So this deck is pretty fun to play, and that's the most important thing for me. So I hope you enjoy this video. Again, this deck was not designed by me. I just took the idea and slightly improved it, just tiny little bit. I changed like 4 cards in the whole deck and sideboard. Yeah. So it was MTGOpener. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Have a nice day. Bye.